And at the same time, we are by streaming in the channels of our institute. And well, good morning for Mexico and for some parts of Latin America, but at the same time, good afternoon and good night from other peoples that are seeing us in Europe. First of all, we are very happy to be here with Professor Faruk Ülgen. He is an excellent economist. He is a post-Keynesian economist. That thing is very important for us. And also because we had met him many years ago, more than 10 years, maybe 20 years. We had been, we know him in the Allied Social Science Association, especially in the Association for Evolutionary Economics. And besides that, this is not the first time Professor Faruk is with us. It was around 10 or 12 years ago. We just forget our memory. He also came with, invited by Professor Correa and me to the School of Economics. And in that time, he gave us a very interesting course. I don't remember, but it was very interesting, that course. Yes, and also he has been a very, most of our students, especially the students of the PhD, students of the Seminar of Economía Financiera Contemporánea o Mercados Financieros, all the bibliography that he sent us, we read it, and so we are going to have very interesting questions to him. So the course will begin today, and we will finish in 2 more days on Thursday. And at the same time, I'm going to give the floor to Cesar, who will call also the meeting that we are having with the students.
Good morning. Well, we asked Faruk to teach us a course around this topic that it's very interesting for us, and that we've been working since the seminar that we had a couple of weeks ago, the 24th seminar, financial and fiscal economics. And one important part of that seminar had to do with climate change. We, as heterodox economists, had been facing this problem, because when we read about climate change and financing climate change, there is not a lot of heterodox perspective around this issue. So we have to build this perspective. Right now we have to face this situation, and we asked Faruk to help us with that. Right. So Faruk, we are very happy that he agreed to help us and to show us a way to discuss these things, and also to discuss with him, right, the things that we see from Mexico, from Latin America in general. So we are very glad to receive Faruk here. We are very glad to discuss these topics, and I think
tomorrow, in the afternoon, we're going to have
well, tomorrow, thinking about this, the importance of the discussion, we are having a special session with our students, where they are going to present to Faruk their research and to receive this feedback. So you are also invited to that, because we are planning to have this session to receive the feedback from Faruk, but also from the other assistants, right? So we have the course during today, tomorrow, and Thursday in the mornings, and tomorrow afternoon we're having this special session with our students. Okay.
Yes, and thank you very much, Faruk, because he has just arrived yesterday night, and so I know he must be with the jet lag, but he has taken a lot of coffee, right? To give the course.
Not too much.
Not too much. Okay, well, thank you, Faruk. We give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Alicia. Thank you, Cesar. Yeah, it's a great, because my voice is not enough. No, because we're yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for being there and for welcoming me here again.
it's a great, really great pleasure and especially a great honor for me to be here, to be invited by you here in this institute, where I've been many years ago, thanks to Alicia again and to Eugenia Correa. All my thoughts go to her now. I am from the University Grenoble. So we call it Université Grenoble in French because now it's a fashion, it's a trademark. So we cannot change it university because it's in French and we have to translate it to English. It is just university. This is a trademark. So I know because last year I organized a conference and so I prepared all the things, call for papers and so in English, also University Grenoble. So I've been told that it is forbidden. You have to change it because it's not university, it is Université Grenoble. That's okay. That's why I put it there. And I am from Department of Economics and at the same time from the Center of Research in Economics of Grenoble. So the translation is a bit strange because I translated it in this way to make the correspondence with the abbreviation in French. Okay, I am, since many years, I am working on regulation issues, financial regulation issues, especially after the global 2007-08 global financial crisis. It was a great moment for me to be able to talk about instabilities and to know that people will be ready to listen to me and to other colleagues talking about instabilities. As you know, before this financial crisis, even in spite of different crises everywhere in the world, in Latin America, in North America, in South America, in northward, southward, eastward, westward, everywhere, in spite of those crises, we were not used to talk about financial instabilities or economic instabilities in the systemic way, but more talking about emerging markets crisis or some local crisis, but never crisis of the capitalist financial system. And thanks to this crisis of 2007-08, we had this opportunity to think and to talk about without any problem. Now everyone talks about, and we are keeping talking about still today because the crisis is not recovered yet from. So as you will see here now, my speech, my presentation will be related to this critical or instability aspects of the market economies that we called in the past capitalism. Now it's for the dinosaurs, this concept. We are talking about market economies, free economies, individual economies, or democracy or something like that. But it is always capitalist economies, of course, because they are related to private wealth accumulation. So just a short introduction to give me some information about what I am working on. I am not tired because I like this kind of work. I like move and to work. Yesterday I slept at 1:30 or something like that, and this morning I woke up at 4 a.m. It was a great pleasure to work, especially far from home and from my faculty where I have lots of things to do. And when I am moving in this way abroad, I am more free. So I am happy to have time to work with other people. Thank you very much again for welcoming me here. It's a great honor for me. So a few words maybe, as you will see, I am a bit, I don't know how, I don't know two things. I don't know many things, but especially two things. The first is how to organize my time, my schedule, and my students are suffering regularly from this. And second, when I am talking about something that I like to talk about, I don't know how people get it or not, etc. So I have no watch. I don't have any time. You see, so that's why I let you cut my word and intervene when you want to intervene. Okay, there is no question, no problem about this. Okay, otherwise you'll be sleeping and I will be talking again, and still maybe till midnight. So this is two things. So maybe for the organization, we can imagine this way, as we have three sessions, right? 3 days, 3 sessions. I will organize these 3 sessions around 3 aspects of this common topic, that is financing climate change, or climate financing as we call it now. But I don't want to use this term because like the green finance, as we will be talking about, there is a specific definition of this kind of word used in our usual everyday language, everyday research language. And I am not always from the same perspective than this way of using these terms in the current research. That's why I call it financing transition, not climate finance, but it is the same thing, basically speaking. So the common topic is this, financing transition. I am not an energy economist. I am not this kind of economist. I am just an economist working on financial systems, financial instabilities, and financial regulation. But I how to say, I remarked, I noticed, or I thought of since 2-3 years, maybe thanks to a PhD student of mine who wanted to work on this topic, that the issue of transition and the issue of financial stability are very close to each other, because they are related directly and basically to the characteristics, features of our economic system, which is also our societal system at the same time. So, and I said, so both should go together if we have to deal with the problems related to environment, transition, and so on, and to financial stability. And then, as you will be seeing this later, drawing lots of conclusion from this with regard to the poverty issues, inequalities, gender issues, every current problem that we are talking about, we are trying to deal about, they are very related to each other. And I think they are very related to these 2 issues, transition or climate problems and financial instability. And that will be the idea that I would like to put forward, to show their profound and critical nature to think about our future, because they are our future, about our future. They are not about our present. Our present is that. This is about our future. If you don't think about those issues together, and I will state it, I hope it will be enough argumented, it will be enough spotted through what I will be presenting here. If we don't take these 2 issues together, there will be no future. This is this. Okay, so my organization will be first today more on the, this is my work plan, okay? But you'll see this work plan will not work, because I will not be able to organize things accordingly. This is another problem that I am suffering from myself. I cannot discipline myself according to what I would like to do. So this is normally the plan. The first that I would like to put forward today, basic concepts and issues. It's about different aspects, different concepts, but also different issues, because each concept is an issue. Okay, it's not just a word. There are lots of things, problems, questions behind. So those are these things. And tomorrow's session will be around the second point, which is always related to the same first point, but it will put forward, or seeking to put forward some specific aspects, talking about some financial perspective, risk perspective related to the transition process that I'll be calling eco-transition. And today I will be giving what I mean by this eco-transition. And the third day will be around the Great Divide, which is a term used by Elinor Ostrom many years ago. Great Divide is this opposition between private and public, private interest and public interest, between private strategies, private way of being and doing, and public good or common good. So how to go beyond this great divide means how to organize society beyond this opposition between private interests and public interests. Of course, it's a very, it might be regarded as a joke because we are living really in a society, work society, which is really resting on this opposition. Two values, different values, private and public, and everywhere you see this, political, social, as well as cultural levels. So how to go beyond this? Is it possible? I don't know. I don't think so, but this is the, to remain positive, to remain hopeful about the future. You see, otherwise, I don't know if it is possible. So it will be around this question, always related to the same transition and financial issues. And talking at the end about alternative regulation of markets for the same, in the same aim to make possible a sustainable, viable, long-term transition, because transition is not a matter of one day. We want to transit today. Yes, we can. We can do this technically, financially, but we cannot because we are not in this spirit. We don't have this will to change things. But it is normal. It is logical. Any society tries to protect itself every time. Never a society accepts to transform itself in an opposite society or in an alternative society. This is survival. Okay? So that's why we cannot do things immediately. But we have to do quickly. This is a big problem. So the question will be how to achieve these two aims, transiting, changing society radically in this sustainable, viable way that we call climate change, environmental thing, energy transition, etc., and also changing the same society in a sustainable, viable way with regard to the organization and management of financial markets that are at the core of our economic engine. Because we are in a capitalist economy, so this is a monetary economy. Monetary economy is a financial economy. Okay. This will be the last word. So this is the plan. At any time, you can ask questions. Even now, you can say this. Up to you, no problem. So now I go back. So I am a bit, also another problem, I have lots of problems. My other problem is I cannot remain seated down. I am a bit, not like it. I don't like to sit down. So if it's okay for you, I will be move. So here you can see that, yes, I put two colors on these words for highlighting them. Financialization, financing is the same color, and climate change and energy transition is the same color. So two sides of the same coin, two sides of the same big societal problem, systemic problem. This is the title. So the fundamental question that I would like to ask, or maybe it's already asked for everyone here, then to deal with, to handle, and so on, whatever the term that you want to use here. The fundamental question, which is, I think, a compulsory question, it's a sine qua non, is what kind of general framework could we imagine to make global change possible? And you'll see what I mean by global change. Or in other more modern words, we can call it how to run green, sustainable, and viable. And we'll see that green may have different meanings. For the World Bank, it will be a different thing. For IMF, it will be another thing. For, I don't know, this or this economist approach, it will be different, and so on. So let's take it just a color, green. Even in this case, you know that human brain is complex and green doesn't exist. Green for majority is not the same green for some other people that we call maybe sick or something like that, abnormal people. But science shows today that this is not an abnormality. It is the way that the brain works. And it changes according to individuals. It's not always a kind of sickness. So let's say that we know what's green. This color that I used, I am not sure that I used green color, but I guess. So this question, I try to regard this question in the light of the features, dynamics, characteristics of our societies and economies. I use these two terms together, society and economy, but basically I think that it is the same thing, because in capitalist economy, societies are capitalist societies. There is no difference between economy and society. This is one of the great features of capitalism. Since 300 or maybe 400 years, capitalism really took control over all social representations. And then as capitalism is an economic concept, so this is the economics or economy that has over everything total control. That's why society and economy form the same thing in a capitalist society. But I use both not to launch another debate on this. A few references here for the formal aspects when you are working and writing a research paper. We are asked to give some Journal of Economic Literature classification codes to show people the topics, common topics that they might recognize here. This is a kind of language communication process. Also, another point talking about these codes, I'll use here sometimes this kind of text, and sometimes I'll go to one article and scroll it together to discuss, to think about concepts used, to analysis done in the article, and to think about things together. Okay, to maybe give you possibility to make the job by yourself, not by myself presenting everything already done. Okay. So this is work plan, okay. So today I'll try to work on this, and again, I repeat myself, you'll see that the second and third points are very close to the first, okay. I just give this in a pedagogical way to make you feel that there's a kind of plan structure of the presentation, okay. Some references also, so I didn't yet finalize this presentation in a proper way, but as soon as I do it, maybe tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow, I'll give it to Cesar, and you can get access to the document without any problem, okay? So first, basics, the basics. So here, it's not a kind of self-love presentation, but it is more practical to use things that one has already used so it's easier. That's why I refer to two articles, two papers that I wrote before to work on this question, financialization. It's not because those are the best articles talking about financialization, because despite and I have some abstracts that I can use without picking in such things that I already did in these articles. Okay. Okay, so this is the first point. The second point will be about regulation and development of the economy. As you can see, I am talking here not about climate, but about finance and financialization. This is the entry to our issues. Again, I will be using two papers that I have already written in the past. For the same reasons, because they make a kind of synthesis of many different works, and sometimes very opposite works to each other, to point to let's say find out or figure out the different issues that are regarded, considered in these different approaches, and how they study those issues, what are their points, and so on. Okay, just a big and then I will be talking about sustainability. What is sustainability, the concept first, and behind this concept we'll be discussing about different possible approaches, different possible perspectives, because if we don't talk about the same thing, we cannot build up together same things. Okay, this is like a language. We have to communicate and understand each other. And then it will be this kind of presentation that will summarize all these things, and will be referring to collective action following commons. It's a good reference that I like, and this kind of topic. And later I will be trying to defend a specific definition of transition that I call eco-transition, to show that transition is a radical transformation required to have, not to make sure because we cannot be sure, but to have some hopes about the future. And then it will be the second point for tomorrow and so on. This is the organization. Now, the first thing, financialization, and I'll go to these texts that are very short text, and just to give a reminder about the concept and the phenomenon, because it's about the evolution of our economies everywhere in the world from the late 70s, because the first steps come from these changes of UK and US governments, arrival of ultra-liberal governments with Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher gave the impetus, the first force to this change, very worldwide change. And you can see everywhere that even in the countries where at that time, this might be regarded as a paradox, but it is not. At the same time, late 70s, early 80s, in many countries in the world, you see left-wing governments coming at the power. At the same time, you see in the two of most important countries, US and UK, right-wing governments getting the power at the same time. But in both cases, and France is an example to this, because in France, 80, 81, 82 is first time in the history of France, a left-wing government was the power. Only 1 year later, they changed radically their political and economic program that they had prepared during the after World War period. During 40 years, they prepared, Communist Party and Socialist Party prepared a common program for the days when they would be at power. They came at power. Only 1 year they implemented their program. Second year, no program. They transformed their program into UK, US, and other countries' economic program, liberal program. This is really a very net change all around the world, even in the countries with left-wing governments. And from this time, financialization starts. That goes together with this political change. Financialization comes into the picture. And I try to show that financialization comes from not the markets, from the regulatory power, from the governments that decided of imposing liberalism everywhere. Why at that time? I don't know. I am not a historian. I am not a skillful guy able to understand every complex societal things. But I think that because time was there, that was the good time. After the Second World War, what was the problem? The problem was the reconstruction of society, capitalist society, destroyed by war. Not money, just infrastructures and so on. Money was always there. How you can reconstruct, rebuild society? Through the markets? No. Through the public power. So public power, intervention, all the Bretton Woods agreements, all the interventionist governments all around the world. America was a central planned zone. It was not Soviet Russia. Soviet Russia was genetically a planned economy. America became a planned economy. All the Western Europe became a planned economy. And all the emerging and developing world became planned economies. It might be regarded as a normal procedure because at that time in the 60s and 70s, emerging and developing world were a bit left-wing, at least ideologically. So it was normal that they were planned, but not for the American economy, not for the UK economy, not for France economy, and so on. All became planned economies, but we call it indicative plan. It's not a compulsory plan, of course. But that means that state was there, government was there, public power was there in order to rebuild this mess. It took time. It's not an easy task. It took time. And once it had been built on, we had to oust governments and public power. And that is, let's say, it's very caricatural that I am saying here, but there's a kind of process, I think, that gave the opportunity to liberal wing to come back to the power because the need for public power was out, was off. Okay? This is just a parenthesis. So now I would like to come back to the financialization that starts at that time, at the same time. And to do so, I will be using those things just to give you some basic ideas and concepts. So the first is the text about commodification and public action. So here some reminder about the meaning of financialization. You can find it in better sentences in many works. So here I don't quote some others, well-known others that who told about financialization, because I did it in other papers. So I changed some quotations because it's very horrible to quote the same people while we have 8 billion people working and thinking about the same problems, and they write many interesting things. So I try to quote different people in each paper. So here I have chosen Pele and Sawyer works about financialization. What's it? In a few words, financialization is this process. It's a process of transforming the dynamics of the economy into speculative, short-sighted, you can use other terms, and speculative, short-sighted, and how to say, let's use it, virtual engagements. Virtual in the sense of when you are an old guy, for you, the real thing is the thing that you can touch. Virtual is the thing that you cannot. So virtual means just services, and in this case, financial products. Okay, just some numbers, some names, but you cannot touch. But it is very stupid what I am saying here, because it's an old style, and old style is wrong. Capitalism had never been unvirtual. Because at that time, society was such that you had to produce tables to make money. Today, no. This is the same capitalism, because capitalism is not according to the economic activities. It is according to the rule, accumulation of private wealth, monetary wealth. By producing tables or oranges, or by producing dreams, this is the same thing. Yes, the difference will be enormous, because when you produce real thing, it takes time, and volatility is a bit lowered. But there is always the same volatility. Just the speed is different. When you are in financialized world, volatility is extreme. Having every 2 decades big crisis or every year, frankly speaking, at long run, it doesn't matter. We are always in crisis. And we are all dead a day. So what's the difference? Nobody remembers us, right? 20 years or today. That doesn't change the dynamics of our system. So let's go back to the definition. Financialization is, what I say, I don't remember. This, I don't remember my sentence. Yeah. So we are thinking in terms of immediate and higher rents, profits, returns, whatever the name you can put, because now they are the same. The rent and profit were different in the classical economics. Now they are the same. We are getting back money. This. Nobody, if you have possibility, opportunity, nobody will try to make efforts, build up projects and so on that will take time and that will take money, the huge engagement investments. No, just I touch my button of my computer, transfer money to get back money. This is capitalism. This is the ultimate version of capitalism. That you can call it with Minsky, Hyman Minsky, money manager capitalism, or you can call it Marx fictive capital, whatever the name you put on. Those are the blah blahs of our economic thought. The reality of capitalism is always this: making money with money. No commodity, no reality, no value. That doesn't exist. All these things were some myths because societies were, let's say, barbarian. Keynes used this term in his plan of after Second World War. The Keynes plan about the international monetary system. And they put the gold as a reference for the common supranational currency, saying that it doesn't matter. It has no meaning, but we are still in societies that believe in real, brilliant things like gold. We have to use it as reference, even if we know that it doesn't matter. The barbarian relic. So this is the same thing, value or time or I don't know, real economy are barbarian relics. Maybe it's a bit aggressive what I am saying here, but I think that it's not very good to stay in this kind of dream or belief that, yes, there might be a life, a good life, real life with real production, producing chairs, producing tables, hiring people, giving incomes. We are all then brothers and sisters. No, I don't give you this job because I feel you like my brother or sister. I do this to make money. If I can make money, otherwise I will do this in another way. It doesn't matter. I am not a bad guy or good guy. I am just a capitalist seeking at making money. Financialization is the ultimate version of this society. It's not a bad evolution. It is bad because volatility is higher, but it is always the capitalism. And the ultimate version, the pure, crystal clear. And don't forget, we had other players of financialization in the history, but they were smaller, more limited locally, geographically, and timely. Our crisis before the First World War was a kind of financialization crisis, ultra-liberal economic crisis, and so on. You can take all the 19th century, especially the second half of 19th century. There is no 2 years successive without financial crisis in UK economy. No 2 years. Every 2 years there was a financial crisis, big or small. Never stability. That's not a new phenomenon. But now, with maybe this global dynamics, thanks to the liberalization of everywhere, everything from the late 70s, financialization became a global phenomenon and more visible now. And we feel it very strongly. So this is this phenomenon in a few or not few words. So here, some points that I would like to put forward and that are, I think, important to understand why this phenomenon will produce again and again instabilities, turmoil, crisis, and systemic catastrophes. Because basic economic theory tells us market economy works perfectly at optimum under some specific hypothesis. Therefore, it's enough to think the society in terms of one representative individual like we are using in our first year courses, undergraduate courses, microeconomics or economic analysis. The guy, consumer producer, no difference between. The guy is seeking at making money or making satisfaction, but satisfaction is not an economic word. Satisfaction is psycho and something like that. But they use it to make more realistic. Making money, profit. And then as everyone behaves in the same way, seeking at getting this return, everyone will try to take the best decisions, more efficient decisions. If everyone does in this way, society does in the same way, the result will be what Adam Smith said, the social optimum. So he didn't use this term. But He could. He didn't know of this term. The vocabulary was not the same. Social optimum. My butcher singing at getting more money from my consumption will try to satisfy me at best and offer the best meat to make me accept to pay the highest price because I am seeking my satisfaction. It's not because my butcher is a good guy looking for my satisfaction that he will be serving me. He'll try to serve himself, his own interest, and then he must serve my interest too. Social optimum, very beautiful. This is the first basic idea that we used in the neoclassical economics and so new classical economics, new Keynesism, everywhere we use the same idea. Individualistic society is socially optimal. Spontaneously, naturally. Isaac Newton gave us this statement, how the sky doesn't fall because there is gravitation. Adam Smith used exactly the same idea. There are some natural forces that make market prices gravitate or to the equilibrium, natural prices, spontaneously. In the Middle Ages, we called it God. Now we call it gravitation or market prices and competition. Magic. But it doesn't work. Fortunately, in the universe, it works. Otherwise, imagine sky falling. Oh, horrible. But it doesn't work in our planet economically and socially because the sky is falling every day. So that means that it is not the same thing, society and universe, even if we are part of it, universe. So what are the weaknesses, fragilities, or stupidities of this approach at social and economic level? So I take some arguments that might be useful to understand that it's not a question, a matter of ideological discussion. It's a matter of logical analysis. You cannot assert, you cannot argue, you cannot state that market works spontaneously at equilibrium. The only way to do so is the general equilibrium economics, Walrasian general equilibrium economics. Unfortunately, this model is a highly planned societies model. It's a scientific socialist economy model, as said the Cambridge, UK economist in the 30s, John Robinson, for example. It's not the market economy equilibrium model. We have no market economy equilibrium model. We have no scientific model that could let us state that market forces lead to equilibrium. No scientific model, no scientific reference. I bet my head, if you are able to show that we have a scientific model showing that the market leads to equilibrium, I give my head. That makes 3 centuries that economists work on this stupid proposal. Because it is illogic, it doesn't work. Because the characteristics of the market economy, what we call the market economy, are such that you cannot imagine magic mechanism that will be market mechanism, free, decentralized, individualistic, etc., that will bring us the magic final situation that will be happiness for. It doesn't exist. It cannot exist. It is not a matter of ideology. It's a matter of scientific logic, mathematical logic. But politically, you cannot accept what I am saying here. If you do so, what will be the result? The follow-up. What will be your statement? Hey guys, know it. We don't know how to make life good, but you have to accept what I am proposing as a governance model because I like it. Just an arbitrary choice. Maybe life is an arbitrary choice, but you cannot govern 8 billion people by arbitrary choices. You have to give some rational assertions, make people believe that there is a reality behind. There is no such a reality behind. The only reality is it does not work. So, some arguments to show this, because it's very important if it does not work, how you will be thinking about transition, letting markets decide of generating, giving some incentives to push markets and players to undertake good actions to make transition possible. No, the markets cannot work even to set up the mere tomato price. How you can imagine markets decide of future? Of a viable future, I mean. They decide of future every day, they do this. We are in a big mess every day. But we are talking about this alternative transformation. So that's why I insist on this point. And financialization is the opportunity, the buzzword to show the weaknesses and fragilities of this kind of approach of market-led transformation. Because we'll be talking about market-led transformation of society, of energy, of etc. later as a solution. So here, I pick different approaches because everything already exists. You know, the human being is a very special, since he or she knows how not to use forefoot, but just two, and have two hands now to do other things. He or she has lots of time, free time. You eat, you sleep, you make love, basic things to reproduce, naturally speaking, even if now making love is not reproduction because the population is decreasing in many countries. It might be a good thing also, I don't know. Malthus told me this. And we have many time, free time. We have more than the half of the day where we don't know how to spend it. But now we are thinking. About what? We don't know. We have to invent problems in order to spend our time to think about problems. This is the human being. Since we became humans, we think, and we have lots of problems. So that means that since thousands and thousands, maybe millions of years, we are thinking about the same problems, the existence. Our existence. We eat, we sleep, and we don't know how to do today. I have lots of free time. What I mean by this blah blah is that all the ideas are already there. I will be picking different ideas just to show that we know why and how market cannot work. Already, we know it since many years, maybe centuries. It's not a new idea. First thing that I pick in this paper is the cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. So I borrow it from different guys. You can think of Akerlof, for example. You can think also of Tversky and Kahneman, both now joined the angels in the sky or in the soil. I don't know where are the angels, etc. etc. What is the idea? The idea is this. People more suitable for themselves. Otherwise, imagine you cannot live, you have to suicide. if things seem to be too much wrong, you have to suicide. So this is a kind of self-regulation of our difficult life. I'm not a psycho. Tversky and Kahneman were. But they said, I interpret in this way. An example, Chuck Prince, a former CEO of Citigroup, just a few weeks before the official launch of the 2007-2008 global catastrophe, interviewed by a journalist who asked him, everyone today, it was in August 2007, just days before the failure of Northern Rock or something like that. That was the beginning of the catastrophe. Everyone talks about financial crisis that would be bigger than the 29-33 crisis. What do you think about? The guy answers, yes, we know. It's there. We see it. We know, we are aware of this. We will have, in a few times, a big crisis. Journalist, surprised, said, why you don't take measures against, if you know that crisis is coming? Question is stupid. Crisis is not coming alone. We are making crisis. She is not coming. She is there. We are producing. So you know crisis coming. Why you don't stop it? The answer is beautiful. He said, we know everything. We see everything. We are aware of what we are doing. But we cannot stop because it's like dancing. As long as the music plays, we have to dance, keep dancing. We cannot sit down. We have to sit down once the music stops. When the crisis is there, we cannot keep dancing anymore because everyone stops. Everyone sit down. This is the logic. Exactly the same economic rationality that we use in our classes. The maximization of profits. There is always a small part that is left that we can get. Go there, go there, go there, and stop down because it's zero. It's the same thing. What is economic rationality? Is to seeking, making money. Even if I know that there is a wall there where there is no money anymore, I will be going till the wall, touching the wall, and to be sure that there is no much more money to get back. But when I touch the wall, life is stopped. That's why we cannot stop the crisis. We do the crisis to make money. Okay? This is not coming from sky. There is no bad Martians generating crisis on Earth. Crisis is Earth-made by ourselves. So this is this. I know that there will be a catastrophe, but I have to go till there because what I am doing is catastrophe generator. This is my life. If I stop everything, I will not be living. I cannot stop living because I have to stop crisis. My life is crisis. Crises are endogenous. Hyman Minsky. Joseph Schumpeter. So cognitive bias or dissonance, cognitive dissonance is this kind of thing. Even if you know what will be happening, you cannot prevent this. The paradox is not a paradox, really. It's a natural process because what are you doing is crisis doer. The only to change your life, change your system. Keynes was wrong. You cannot stabilize capitalism. Minsky asked the question. Could we? So, I don't know if I ate it works now, yeah. I think sometimes I must eat the energy of the microphone. So, because my point behind this is that I'm not sure that we need to use this kind of critic of economic rationality. We don't need this. We can assume that individuals are rational in the sense that they are aware of what they are doing. Even if they don't have enough information, they are living. We have to live. We will not be waiting for Godot bringing us full information. It doesn't exist, Godot. So we are doing, and I am sure that what I am doing here is good because I don't know how to do otherwise. And I have to do something, hoping, believing, and I will be mixing lots of things to make myself believe that what I am doing is the good way, the best way, among the alternatives that I know and I can use, I could use. This is rationality, not more, not less. Rationality is life. So that's why the discussion between rationality, perfect, imperfect, and so on is just blah, blah. But this blah, blah gave Nobel Prizes to Williamson, Oliver. So I respect him, but on that point is a bit cheap. That's why I insist on this. When we say that there is this kind of behavior feature, okay, that shows the complexity of behavior, behavioral economics, behavioral finance. Oh, very complex phenomenon. Oh, humans are very complex. Brain is complex. Yes, and so what are we doing with this? And also, spontaneously in the markets or in a society that we call markets, made up by decentralized private interest-seeking individuals, taking each one their decisions separately, independently from each other, and working only for their, mainly, I mean, their own interests. When you let people do, the result will be catastrophe. It is a natural result. If there is a natural outcome of the market process, this is the catastrophe, not the optimum. And this is rational, and this is logical. And it doesn't mean that individuals are bad, market is bad, and so on. No, this is this. If you are expecting harmony, coherence, and happiness at societal level, you are wrong. If you accept to live in this world, it's okay. No problem. If you have some, if you are a bit lucky, it's a good world. You are free, you can do everything that you want, you have money, etc. You may be protected against natural catastrophes, social catastrophe, political catastrophe. You are at paradise. No problem. But you have to accept Just, it's not difficult. But ideologically, it's horrible. You cannot defend your bread. If you accept a society that you like is a big mess and catastrophe generator, spontaneous, it's a natural process. You can never expect happiness for everyone. It's very difficult to maintain 8 billion people under control. So you have to sell some dreams, some, sorry in advance, but some kind of religious belief. There will be a heaven for each one day, maybe. Nobody knows it. But it is not economics, it's not a science. It's just a discussion. Yeah, it's good. Philosophy, political things, etc. Good, but it is not economic science. You cannot confuse things, mix things, and make people believe by using this kind of non-economic things. But all those guys got economic prize, Nobel Prize, by stating this kind of things. So this is the first point. So here I refer to Taylor with this famous nudges, etc. Second point is the lack of or absence of bridge between micro and macro, micro rationality and macro consistency, coherence, stability. Again, the same idea. We don't have to let's say, criticize or refute the idea that micro individuals, the individuals are micro, individuals are irrational or rational. They are rational, okay, let's do. They are rational. They like drinking Coke while they know that they will be dying because of this, but they do so. They are rational. There is no informational asymmetry here. Very good example. I like smoking. I know that it will be killing me. So I keep smoking. I am rational. I know what I am doing. And in many times, I don't know. I ignore. In the 60s, we knew. In the, maybe before, in the 50s, in the 40s, when I was smoking, I didn't know that it was very, very harmful. So what? I knew I didn't. What's the problem? No problem. I am always rational because I know what I am doing, with or without information. I am aware of. The problem is that a society made up by this kind of individuals is not a socially optimum society. You have to accept this. There is no such a magic result of rational individuals given beautiful society. No, not this one. I don't know the other societies. This one, capitalist society, is not an optimum society. It cannot be. Because of the features of the dynamics of behavior, etc., etc. You are very rational. You have to take your car and go to holiday. The first day, tomorrow, you have to go this evening to get more time to spend on holiday. Micro rationality. Everyone takes the same strategy and traffic jam. You will be spending your time one day maybe on road. You have no holiday more than if you took your car and went to the holiday place tomorrow. Society is not coherent, it's not good. Traffic jams, nervous people, horrible pollution. What's the way to organize this? Economics says you pay people or you make people pay in order to incite them to not go to the holiday place today, but tomorrow, and so on. How we will be doing so? It's not enough to announce that people, if they take their car to go to the holiday location tomorrow, will be paying less for the, I don't know, for the location, for rent, and so on. Everyone will do it this way, and at the end, you will have the same stupid society. Incentives cannot work because incentives means that you let people do again individually according to some signals. If they are rational, they will be using those signals in order to maximize their satisfaction. So all are rational, so they will be doing all in the same way. And the result will be the stupid society. The only way is to organize collectively, that we'll be talking about later under the concept of collective action. Not collectivist, collective action. Because any public or collective word sounds, boom, what is behind? Cocos are there. Cocos are communists. Stupid. Really, this is a scientific, this is not a scientific discussion, this is a discussion like Trump and so on. I don't know if Trump might be seen as a scientific. But this is the same reasoning. You talk about things against, whoa, you are the black. No, we are talking about rational things, about logical things. We are trying to understand this mess and to find out solutions. We are not counting the votes. We are not in your policies and politics. But things are confused. So at that second point, my point is that even if we assume we can, no problem, that individuals are micro-rational, so they take really the best things at their micro level, the result will be a catastrophe. Macro crisis, macro instability, and so on. There is no bridge. And you know, maybe in the 50s and 60s, when the macroeconomics was at that time a big part of the economics, not anymore today, there were some debates on this question. Is there any bridge between micro and macro? When the neoclassical economics were trying to transform the Keynesian macro approach into a micro-founded approach. This was the answer we couldn't find out. But they didn't prevent neoclassical economists to transform Keynesian approach into a new Keynesian neoclassical approach without any answer to the question. Because they are not doing science, they are doing politics. So here, inconsistency between micro-rationality and macro-stability, and I like to use Hyman Minsky as an example, who puts the emphasis on this inconsistency between these two level of let's say decision analysis and so on. And Minsky said that individual heroic expectations about the future state of the world, what they can do with or without information and so on, will never provide us with a macro stability or coherent society. So I stop this here because the following part is publicness of financial stability. It will be later. Two examples here. Two other examples. No. Yes, I have to improve my Spanish that I don't have really. Another through another article, paper. You see here, other quotations, other people. We have knowledge. We thought about all those questions for decades, centuries, and so on. But life goes on in the same direction. I don't understand. Here, the references are to the works, very standard works. BIS, Bank for International Settlements, World Bank, IMF, and so on, or prestigious universities, MIT, and so on, not the critical people. So those works are put forward with facts, data, and so on, that financialization, or more finance in the technical terms, more finance, more financial criteria, the assessment of an investment is given by, first, the capacity of this investment to bring back quickly. So short time, high money, bring back quickly, higher returns. This is financial criteria of efficiency. That is also used, you know, this criterion of efficiency is used everywhere today. When the government will decide of closing or investing in public schools, hospitals, and so on, this is the decision. What is the cost and what is the return? How you can count the return on human life? Oh, there are some proxies that we don't talk about because it's immoral. Even in a financialist society, some things seem to be immoral still. So we use the criterion without really saying it. Oh, only 5 women for the maternity. No, we can close it. They take taxi to go to the 100 kilometers far hospital because it's not profitable. 5 women with 5 children, maybe it's not enough to make this investment profitable. What does it mean? It means that even at the social level, the social utility of the things are assessed in terms of financial return, which is a private utility concept. Guys, show with facts that this process, this criterion of efficiency, financialized criterion of efficiency doesn't work because financialization didn't provide us with more and better financial resources and results. On the contrary, financialization is the period where what we call the real investments were lowered. For the first time after the Second World War, the real economy enterprises were not in debt, structurally speaking. What does it mean? Normally, the characteristics of an economy, capitalist economy, is that you get credit to invest more in the future, to make more future profits. And so the debt cannot be removed. It is accumulated every day, even if you make lots of profits on the other side of your accounting process. The debt is always there, increasing because you undertake more and more activities. This is the monetary economy or credit economy or endogenous money economy. For the first time in the modern history of capitalism, in Western Europe, I don't know, I didn't look at the American enterprises. In Western Europe, as a whole, the industries were in a positive position in their accounting. Never seen before. Because no investment, no spending. Even the credits, when they get credit from banks or financial intermediaries, were used to finance financial positions, not real investments. That means that from the 80s, the evolution of the economy, financialization, is towards this speculative positioning in a diverse with the real investments and engagements. And every sector is still in this case. Enterprises became surplus units, net surplus units. It was impossible before. No investment, no job. So you can understand now why the unemployment was increasing over these 4 decades of financialization. Even if on the accounting, you saw that the industries were profitable because take, I don't know, a car manufacturer, the accounting of the car manufacturer at the end of the period of the accounting period is the profit given by financial positions as well as real positions. So if you don't pay attention to this difference, you will be saying, wow, they are profitable this year. But the profits come not from the cars that they manufactured and sold, but the financial positions that they did. They are not financial institutions, they are just industrials, but they play as financial speculators. Another example are households, households. And the subprime crisis is related partly to this. The households, even with low incomes, took positions as huge speculators. How you can buy a home, even with bank credits, over 20 years, while the repayments are 2 or 3 times higher than your average wage? How you can go in such a contract? Because you are now a speculator, because you've been told that if you take this position in 2 years, given the last year's evolution of the market price, in 2 years, your home will be worth 2 times more. If you cannot reimburse your debt in the next years, you can sell your home, get money, repay your debt, and you have also a small capital in your pocket, and you can go back to the renting. No problem. You don't risk anything. If you take this position, you are a speculator, even if you have no money. Millions of households became speculators on their home. Very good. Too much finance means this. Otherwise, there is no quantity that is too much or not much enough. This is the market. This is the individual's decisions that give at the end of a given period an amount of debt, an amount of money, and so on. Not the government, not the God, not the marshal. So here, those works show that financialization over this, let's say, 80s and till now, this process didn't give lowered interest rates, better investments, more credit, cheap credit, more investments, more jobs. You look around, nothing. Only financial positions inflated till the global crisis. The worst is, even after the global crisis, the banking system was saved by the little god, who is the central bank and the public money, restarted to take the same positions that before the global crisis. Without any regulatory change, without any restriction. It's crazy. The total amount, roughly speaking, the total amount of the money spent to save the world. Save the world. This is our world. We did the world. How you can save such a world? To save the world is around 50,000. I have to remember the amount because I couldn't count the number of zero. It was 50,000 trillion or something like that. So I don't know how many zeros we have to put because I don't know this number. I know 1, 2, 3 till 10, but not more. You see? And we are talking about we have no money, we have to economize resources, we have not this, we have not this, and so on. What resources should we economize? We don't need to economize anything. We create things, we are the gods on earth. We already able, today we are able to generate life from nothing. The economics became real life. We can generate credit from nothing. This is the endogenous money process. We can now do the same thing in biology, physics, and so on. We can make life from nothing. We don't need women, men, and God. We are the gods. And we are talking about resource scarcity. Which resource scarcity? We don't need any resource. We can produce tons and tons and tons of tomatoes without any soil. We do this already since many decades. We produce strawberries, we produce peas, everything without nothing. And we are in a scarce society. That's why you cannot be paid more. They have no money. Oh, there is no school for you. It's very costly. Sorry. Try to do by yourself. Ah, no. We have no hospitals. We closed them because they were very, very costly. We have no money. We have to manage money. Especially public money, very serious thing. We are serious. We cannot spend what we don't have. This is the taxes of the American people. Good discourse. This is the way we manage. We govern people. This is not the science. This is not the truth. This is nothing else than the politics. Too much finance. It didn't serve the economy as the defenders defended it in the past. But I think it does not matter. That was just a political position to make people believe that this evolution was good. It doesn't matter. At the scientific level, at the logical level, it doesn't matter. Because we cannot have financial and no financial capitalism. Capitalism is capitalism. And finance is the core of capitalism, the generator of the nuclear engine. You cannot put it out, remove it. You can try to manage it as we did in the after World War II. More intervention, more public stability, public good, I am not sure, but public stability seeking policies and so on. But this will be always the same capitalism, maybe a bit smooth. For how many years? 2 years, 1 decade, 2 decades, and in the evolution, the values, the features of capitalism, the dynamics, you cannot change because you are more intervening. You will be just calming down the ardors of liberty. We call it liberty now, not freedom of enterprise. Liberty, confusion, democracy, confusion. We have to change things radically. And all the rest is pointing to this, radical. But how? It's another story.
Can we have a...
Yeah, we can have
15 minutes for coffee.
Up to you.
Okay.
I am at your service.
Coffee and some cookies.
Super.
Finance.
How much?
The cookies.
We have no scarcity of course.
No, we can invest in
Just
15 minutos para...
The obesity is a societal problem. We had too many things to eat. It's not scarcity, it's overdoing, stupidly.
More cookies for diabetics, you know, and cholesterol, so they can, the pharmaceutical can have more
Yeah,
profits.
yeah.
That's why we have to take some
you know,
cookies.
Bayer producing pesticides, producing vaccines against pesticides and cancer.
Yes.
You make your market and you sell in your market.
Yes.
2 times.
It seems like every aspect of life that's impossible to control goes wrong. Even if there's
Yeah.
any ideology goes
Yeah.
wrong. Like knowing and knowing more goes wrong.
Yeah, of course. This is the
So, thank you again, coming back. So I had some orders from my general. I had to try to finish till 2, and then to have some time to discuss. But again, if you wanna take the floor, please don't hesitate. The floor is yours. Okay, perfect. So, so I come back to to some arguments and works done on the financialization and the effects, consequences of this phenomenon, or this for at least 4 decades of changes in what we can call the regime of accumulation of capitalism, to use some old words of the 60s, 70s, some gauchist people, leftist people were using this kind of word, the regime of accumulation. For this regime of accumulation of the after Second World War, consisting of redistributing wealth between profits and wages, small for the wages, but also giving more wages regularly, and that supported the development of after Second World War capitalism in Western countries and North American countries, but didn't work really in emerging and developing countries where the wealth accumulation was very, very low. And then from the 80s, this is the financialization process. From the 80s, we see that this regime is transformed into another regime, which is what we call the financialization or financialized capitalism, where the redistribution is removed. There is no redistribution anymore. Okay, the profit generation is not related to the standard industrial activities that we call real economy, but more speculative positioning like financial operations and so on. And you can see, I had a PhD student at that time in the 90s, who worked on this this question, and who showed that from the 80s till the 2000s, the wages are constant or decreasing, but the decrease is very little, very small. They were more constant in constant prices. I am talking about Western and North American countries where the living conditions are, for the moment, not too bad, even today. So the wages are constant, and the part of the share of profits are increasing. But there is no growth. There is no growth. How you can make profits? Because growth is making more. You don't make more. So how is it possible? They come from financial positions. There is no growth, real growth. There is a financial growth. And profits were coming by this. And at that time, you see also that even with financialization, we have some real production. We have to sell cars, we have to sell tourism, we have to sell food and so on, okay, to make 8 billion people live biologically. How is it possible to make people spend more while they have no more? Consumption credit. But the consumption credit does already exist. It is not enough. We have to find some credit, consumption credit areas where there will be lots of money to be spent without getting this money from the work, from jobs. This is the magic of the Bush Jr., who was the president of the United States at that time in the 2005-6, 4, 3. Bush Jr. found out the solution. We have, and when you look at the history of capitalism, you can find this kind of evolution. Nothing is new under the sun. We repeat the same things. That takes different sizes according to a given structure of society, but they are old things every time. Old manners, old strategies, old ways of doing. Bush said in a public speech in 2004 or something like that, more than 70% of minorities in the United States of America have not their own homes. It is unacceptable for the richest country of the world. Very good Keynesian slogan. Redistribution of wealth to the people. No, just making them indebted and creating a new demand. Homes, houses. It's not about cars, about 10, 20, 30, 40,000. It's not enough to make a big market. It's not about food. It's not enough money to make a big houses, homes. Wow. Hundreds of thousands or billions dollars. New market, new demand, without any income. Consumption, credit. Mortgage comes into the picture massively. That was under a voluntary policy. It was not from the market. It was from this political decision. Everything, even in the ultra-liberal capitalism, is organized through the public power, through the government. Liberal in the liberal way, like this. No liberal in the no liberal way. Now we have new demand, but no production, no sustainable consumption. And as we said, all these people became speculator because after the global crisis of 2007-08, many people say that, oh, they cheated people. They didn't tell people the truth. They didn't tell people that they shouldn't sign up those contracts. Very dangerous. No, never any information problem. Everything was transparent. When you sign up a contract, it is written in good English. You have to repay this according to this schedule, right? There is no lie. There is no cheating. Everything is transparent. You have your wage, $4,000 a month. You have to repay $8,000 a month 5 years later to repay your home. You know it. It's written. There is no magic. How you can accept to sign up this contract? Because you know at the same time that the prices of houses are increasing since 2, 3, 4 years, every year 20, 30%. So it's expected to increase also in the next 2, 3 years in the same way. So that means that 3 years later, you will be your home voting 2 times more than what you pay today for. Good operation. Even if you have no money, you'll be living in a beautiful home during 2 or 3 years without repaying anything. And after this, you will be repaying. You cannot, you will never be able to repay. So you will be selling your home back and getting out. No problem. You become speculator. And you are aware of this. You are rational. It's a rational operation. If I was a wise guy, I did the same thing. Really, very good operation. But it didn't work as expected. That's life.
No information, no cheating, everything is good. No cheating, all the operations and the potential consequence of those operations that are speculative things that we know since the first years of capitalism, the government knew everything because all the accounts are transparent. Everything is written. You cannot hide. You know, from the 2005, in many speeches, Greenspan and later Bernanke, former governors, presidents of Fed, they point to the increasing potential systemic risks due to the working of liberal free markets. And at the end of each speech, they say, however, we believe that market mechanisms are able to self-adjust. But we have to pay attention. How? They don't say. Just we have to pay attention. Okay, I pay attention. But I don't really pay attention to change things because I believe that markets are able to change things in the good way. This is the liberal ideology. It is not science. And it is irresponsible because your job is supervise and take care of the system as a governor of central bank. You cannot state this kind of speech and let things do. Do you think that they did pay for this? Never. They dared to talk about irrational exuberance of markets. Stupid people. You know how markets work. It is not irrational. It is not exuberant. It is the normal procedure of the markets. And you tell it in your speech. Now you say, oh, I didn't know. It is irrational because it's crazy that society did never react to this kind of stupid situation. I think that we are worth this kind of stupid guys. They don't come by helicopter. We are voting for. We are putting them there where they are. So they are free to do in this way because no invoice at the end. You don't pay anything. No bill. Everything is free for you. You do everything that you want to do. And then later you say, oh, I didn't know. But before you say, I know that it will happen. You write it. And even in this case, no reaction. No legal, no societal, no political reaction. Very sad. So those works show that no clear evidence that financial evolution provided society and economy with better, more, and so on, resources, ways, and so on. Those guys are from the international institutions. They are not critics of capitalism. They are paid by capitalism. So everything is known. We know everything. We see everything. We have data. We have experience. But we condemn ourselves to repeat the same things, the same stupidities. That's why history rhymes. Normally, history cannot repeat. That's a law of nature. Then we say it rhymes. So it repeats really itself. We do the same things. And we can observe this phenomenon of financialization everywhere, every sector. And those are the works coming from those guys that
state that show this situation, not critical works. How you can imagine a transformation of society in such an environment? How you can imagine to finance, we'll be talking about later, to finance this transformation? We were talking about with Alicia a few minutes ago, how you can give incentives to develop new industries, green industries, clean industries, especially in emerging and developing countries where the industries are very, very few. And now you can use them as laboratories. You put your investments now in these new technologies. In those countries, there is no transformation to be done because there is nothing. So you have to create a new world. This is the good place to do so. Waiting for the radical transformation of mature economies where you have lots of industries to be transformed. It is not easy to convince people, especially the private interests, that they have to stop their old ways and transform it in new ways, cleaner ways, and so on. But you can do so in emerging markets, developing markets. You can do in Africa. There is nothing. You can make investments, lots of investment, new things. You can use it as an area of trial, experimentation. But you will never do this because your goal is not to transform world. Your goal is to make money. And immediately, financialization is the way. But the result is it is not viable. It takes 2 years, 3 years, not more. The mortgage process started officially in the, let's say, 2005 or 6. 2 years or 3 years later, it was out. It was collapsed. It cannot last because the instability is higher and higher. At any new way of doing, instability is higher. So it's not viable. If it is not viable, you cannot reproduce your profits. So crazy. They are all Keynesian because they have only a very short run. They don't think about long run. They don't think about their children. Nobody thinks about the children. We are living today and we are living in a very bad way. And nobody is happy. Are we crazy? The paper world of Wall Street, Minsky told about in the 80s, early 80s. It was the beginning just of our modern financialization process. That means that Minsky analyzed the situation through the previous periods. That means that financialization is not a new phenomenon. We have experience, we know everything, and we repeat everything. And we are discussing about everything, the same things every year. And we are paid for not to solve problems, but to discuss about the same problems. It's a horrible situation. Really, self-esteem, we cannot have it. And the first step was or had been the liberal regulation of financial markets. Financialization is a direct product of liberal regulation. Public power has decided of changing things, transforming the regulatory model into a market-led liberal regulation. Sometimes we call it deregulation, but it is not deregulation, it is liberal regulation. We have always regulation, but it is liberal. Liberal means we removed all tight, restrictive rules. We gave unlimited possibilities, freedom to markets, to institutions, banks, to do everything that they want to generate. We called them innovation, financial innovations. And we said, innovation is good for us. And we used reference to Joseph Schumpeter. Greenspan, in one of his speeches, said, we are in a Schumpeterian dynamics of innovation, and financial markets innovate every day, and this is the ultimate beautifulness of our economy, modern economy. Now we have no limit to our happiness, to our efficiency, to our wealth production. No, Schumpeter didn't talk about the same thing. Schumpeter told about innovations that he called entrepreneurial, that were related to novelties, first, because those guys that Schumpeter called entrepreneurs, innovators, are or were regarded by Schumpeter as those active, dynamic people that were seeking first the change about many things, and second, for profit, because they are in an entrepreneurial society, and with their innovations, they will be using these innovations in an economical way. But this is a second thing. And Schumpeter distinguished between rentier, financial people, and entrepreneurs. And Schumpeter had in mind as references those curious magic guys of the 18th, 19th century. I have one of them as an example, Benjamin Franklin, a former president of the United States, not a scientific, not a businessman, is a simple citizen, very curious. I think that he has more than 1,000 inventions. And then he transformed some of them into marketable products. He became businessman and then political and so on. Schumpeter had in mind James Watt, Edison, those guys, inventors first and innovator later, because innovation is transformation of new ideas, inventions into economical uses or marketable products. Financial innovations have nothing to do with. Financial innovations is just thought of in order to increase the speculativeness of engagements, not to produce new things. We have nothing to produce, to make money. We have just to know how to transform time to make money without nothing. This is speculation. And this is the ultimate version of capitalism. And Schumpeter studied shortly financial innovations in his writings of the early 20th century, where he says, if we let banking system innovate, capitalism enters into financial crisis. Because banks have nothing to innovate. They have to serve innovators, to finance innovators. If they innovate, they will be innovating to speculate, because financial innovations is speculation. You don't need to change things. You have to make things according to the needs of industrial world. In the Schumpeter's world, it was the case. You ask for credit because you have a project to finance. This is standard capitalism. And in this case, effectively, banks can imagine new ways of supporting new needs. For example, in the climate change. They will never do in this way. It is not profitable. It is too much risky because innovation is uncertain. While financial innovations have nothing to do with uncertainty. Financial innovations is just how to use the legislation in order to allow people to give more money hoping that they will be able to make more money, and banks get their profit or their share in this process. Other things. So financial innovations are not Schumpeterian innovations. Financial innovations are just financial evolution changes. They don't seek at improving the financing conditions of the economy, but improving the speculative engagements of different frontiers, involving households too, because all we are frontier. Why you have even small savings? Don't tell me, yes, for my children, no. Because the value of society, of capitalism, is accumulated. Marx said it to describe capitalism. Accumulate, accumulate. That is the law of Moses and the prophets. This is capitalism, even for small households. Allows us to destroy ourselves. Financialization is the best way to self-destruction. I don't know if we may really state it, because we cannot take distance, because the time is, we don't have not yet enough experience, time experience. But I think that we reached the culmination point of our capitalist society. And now we are in the destruction phase. And you can see how societies all around the world are very disturbed at the political level, social level, cultural level, and so on. And how the old demons, all the evils come back. And we are looking for solutions in these demons, evils, not in new ideas, because we are destroying ourselves. We are not in an innovation dynamic process to change life, improve it, and to go through another alternative, because we didn't take time to think about alternatives. Even in the after Second World War time period, the other alternative, the Soviet Russia alternative, was not a real one, because there is no even a small theory of a socialist or communist society. The only thing that we have in an objective way is the critique of capitalism, given partly by Marx and others. But we have no society project. We did never think about. So we don't know where we go. But we go somewhere. We are not anymore in the same society that we call capitalism. It is the change process, but the change is not under our control. While we are talking about the change that we must make, do, produce to have a better future. This is the paradox. Everyone maybe is aware of the change, of the compulsory change, but no one knows and does for this. But we are changing. New millennium will be maybe catastrophic. Hope that you don't have children. I say this in my classes to my young students. Say, this is my opinion, but I insist, please don't make babies. Make first another world, and then you can make babies. Otherwise, you are criminal, I say. They look like this. Oh, the foolish guy. I say, yes, think twice before doing once. Okay, so let's go ahead. Otherwise, so if you have already, you cannot change, you cannot go back. Unfortunately, you have to assume the responsibility. Yes, be sorry. Be aware of your.
I'm going to show that to be terrorists changing a new world.
I don't know if we can through terrorism. I don't know. So thinking about change is necessary, but not enough. So that's why we need regulation. That's why it means that unregulated or liberally regulated markets don't work in a socially efficient way. They work efficiently, no problem. You can make huge money if you are a bit lucky, no problem. Soros made huge money, for example. And thanks to this money, we had in many countries more freedom. In some Arabic or in some Eastern European countries, more freedom. Lots of, I don't know, orange revolutions, lots of spring revolutions everywhere. And happiness came back to this country. Now they are all happy, living in good conditions, they are very free, and so on. Okay. This really stupid tale. But you can make money, so no problem. But socially speaking, efficiency is really missed. So regulation, we will be talking about also later. Regulation, what, how, why, okay. It doesn't work alone, so we have to regulate. But how? Many ideas, more or less relevant. First thing is to know how to do, we have to know what's it. What is it? The thing and the problem of this thing. Okay, so capitalism is a monetary economy. We can give some arguments, some schema in order to show that capitalism cannot work without credit-debt relations. What we call it's an endogenous process of financing future projects, the profit expectations, and it is the magic of the capitalism. Without any limit, we can generate wealth. It comes from nothing, wealth. We generate wealth from nothing without any constraint, no natural, no financial constraint, without any constraint. We are really the gods. We were the gods in the economics. Now we are the gods in whole life. So, but that means that when you have to finance your project, you need to get credit, which is your debt, private debt, related to your private hopes, dreams, expectations about the future. And you are free to, once you get this financing, this credit from banks, you can use it, and we call it money. Everywhere, and everyone will accept it because it is called peso. It is called euro. It is not called private debt or Mr. or Miss X. So everyone recognize it as belonging to the entire society, to ourselves. No, it is just a private debt. There is no such a ourselves, such a society. Money is purely private, but it is at the same time public because it is related to this image, idea of society, because this is the money of my society. Public power. Governor signs up. Governor didn't know that there was this emission. Governor is just an employee. Signature has no value. But this is a symbol. And this is, I just give this remark because you have, maybe you know, you have some economists working on free banking, and those are liberal economists. They believe that we have to remove public power from monetary system, payment system, and we have to let markets emit their own money, their own currencies, banks, individuals, and so on. And the best money will be used by a large population. And we don't, because money doesn't exist in economic theory. Classical, neoclassical, new classical, Keynesian, new Keynesian, nowhere you can see money. It is put in because of some technical, as they say, reasons. Facilitator of exchanges. We are not in an exchange economy. We are in a payment system. You buy, you sell. You don't exchange anything. Your only economic language is monetary units. 5 euros, 5 billion euros, not 5 kilograms of tomatoes. It is just a physical or biological statement, not an economic statement. 5 kilograms of tomatoes have no value, economically speaking. A human, a person, has no value economically if it is not written in bank accounts in monetary units. So when we think about capitalism, we think about monetary payments relationships, monetary units. So you can create wealth, you can create everything from nothing thanks to this. If you find someone, the bank, that would accept to give you credit. The credit, you use it as money of the people. We, the people. But it is a private debt, private engagement that must be repaid. This is another rule. Otherwise, there is no debt. If you don't have to repay, it is not a debt. If it is not a debt, it is not a credit. If there is no credit, there is no capitalism. And we go back to zero. So that is capitalism. To be repaid, of course, by definition. Okay? So it is normal that capitalism is a crisis-generating economy, because that's, if you keep living economically, you have to have debts and debts and debts, and you can never repay all the debts, because one person will be able to repay his debts, another person will not be able because she already failed. So the debt is there, and we cannot repay it. And there is an accumulation of debts. Even if some people can repay, even if we have an accumulation of profits, at the same time we have debts. And there is no balance between, because they don't belong to the same people. And when the debts seem to be too much, I don't know what does it mean too much. There is no level. All the guys who write thousands of pages, the good level of debt. What could be the good level of public debt, private debt? Not serious. Thousands of pages. Many good books written on this topic. That doesn't make any sense. You have countries with 200-300% of GDP. That's another countries like Argentina with 50%, they are in total failure. What is the difference? The name, United States of America, Japan, and the other, Argentina. With 50%, boom. There are other things, other dynamics, not the level of the debt, not the ratio of the debt to GDP. But it works, because when you say you have to respect your budget. You cannot spend more than what you get as income. That makes very serious all the religion, all the conservatism is relying on this kind of thing. Work, family. For some people, God, or for some people, I don't know, order, something. And you say, yeah, it's a good way because that gives us a kind of framework. I cannot spend more. If you don't spend more, how you can imagine that there will be some people who will be able to spend to give you your income, your wage? Do you think that those people come from Mars with their luggages full of banknotes to distribute good people, good wage earners, some money to let them live? No, they are in debt, and thanks to this debt, they can spread this money as income. Without that, no capitalism. Without that, no economy. This economy. This is normal. But at the same time, this magic without any limit to generate wealth is very fragile because it's debt, and that must be repaid, and that cannot be repaid. And we have crisis because of this. As we have wealth, thanks to the same thing. It's not a good metaphor, but just it comes to my mind. Human body. Yes, of course, we have environmental factors, but even without environmental factors, we can imagine human body generate some, how to, look, I lose my leg, so I replace it by some mechanical things to live a bit more in good conditions. I know that I will be dying. Today or tomorrow, it will be the end. But I try to live a bit, some seconds more. This is my survival nature. Society is like this. So that's why we had Keynes looking for how we can manage things in order to allow capitalism to survive a bit more. Not to make capitalism perfect, we cannot, because its own dynamics. Here maybe I refer to Marx, I don't know, its own dynamics, internal endogenous dynamics, make that it cannot survive. So we are looking for the Schumpeterian alternative used by Keynes, by Minsky, and by all those different guys, even liberal or no liberal, not liberal, the same aim, how to make system survive, to be able to survive a bit more. Schumpeter said capitalism, after each crisis, and when he worked on the 20s, 30s crisis, he said, thanks to the intervention of central bank, Federal Reserve, and government, federal government, that capitalism could survive to its turmoil, its catastrophes. Capitalism cannot survive otherwise. It needs to be put under the oxygen tent, he said. Like the people hurted in the war and so on, they are surviving, you see, under oxygen tent to get more air and so on, because they cannot breathe. And this image that Schumpeter used, capitalism under an oxygen tent. This is the intervention of authorities. This is what we call at the end, in a few words, necessary public regulation of financial system. We need this to hope that we will be alive tomorrow too. But after tomorrow, we don't know. But it doesn't matter. We don't know what to do otherwise. So this is the first thing that requires that we have to imagine some consistent regulation. And this consistent regulation, since the market mechanism cannot self-regulate, this consistent regulation must come from public power, from collective action. I use collective action as a generic term to say public power, intervention, and so on. With or without market forces. We can imagine different combination, with or without market forces. And at the end, in the third part, we'll be talking about this possibility or impossibility to imagine some combinations between market and public power, what we call going beyond the great divide. Okay, possible or impossible, I don't know. So therefore, regulation must be public or public related. You can use some private regulators, but they don't have to regulate the market. They are used as a tool, part of the general public regulation system. And I have in mind the rating agencies that put rates on different countries and business. And you know, when they put rates, they get money. Imagine you pay your judge, you are the criminal, you pay your judge to get the decision. And judge says, good girl, gave me some money, good girl, okay, I let you free. This is what the rating agencies do. More, rating agencies do the second thing, which is they are advising me in my activity. The criminal advising the judge in my activity. For example, she gives me information about how the criminals work and so on. I don't know. We are in total conflict of the interest. Do you know any legislation accepting this conflict of interest between criminal and judge? Never. You can never imagine in the more free country, you can never have this kind of situation. It is stupid. Nobody can self-judge. When the crime is against the rest of society, you can judge yourself with your own personal problems, but never with regard to the others. Otherwise, you will never be able to do these criminal things. If you did, that means that you think that it is not a crime for you. It's a good thing for you. You are rational. Yes. You say yes. I say no, because since the 80s, all our financial regulation is resting on this self-regulation. Two pillars of the regulatory model. The first is rating agencies, because we say that they are external, they will be rating objectively. They are not external, they are paid for first, and they are advising also institutions, financial institutions, when they are innovating in their products or process, they work with the specialists coming from the rating agencies, because rating agencies are not mere agencies of rating. They are financial institutions, specialists in financial operations, and they are working with banks, and they are selling with banks the new products that they are called to rate. Judge and judged are the same. What an intelligent system that we imagined. We can never imagine such liberal approach. It's crazy. But it's done. And it is enforced today still, after the crisis. We didn't change anything there. Second pillar is self-assessment process of banks themselves. The regulator says, banks, you will be assessing yourself through the models of assessment that you can build up. There is no, even a common model of assessment doesn't exist. It is not given. The banks are left to their own judgment to imagine super mathematical self-assessment models to know that their balance sheet is very sound. And before the global crisis, no bank said, oh, my situation is very bad today. And after the crisis, all were in total failure. And all the positions were failing positions. Who was rating Greek economy? Goldman Sachs. It's a rating agency. Goldman Sachs is also a bank group that was in failure as a bank group after the global crisis. But federal government paid for to put Goldman Sachs out of the failure situation, because the secretary to treasurer person was a former Goldman Sachs staff. And then they went back to Goldman Sachs after his public, I don't know, position. We call it revolving doors. Doors are revolving like this. You never go out. You are in public, private, because they work together for the same interest, which is private interest. This is self-regulation. And only the third pillar is still today, this is the same, the model didn't change, is the public agency supervision, but it consists of only giving the final, how to call it, legal stamp on the process of assessment coming from rating agencies and banks themselves. There is no a real intervention by the public agencies, central bank or other supervision agencies into the process. They don't look at what has been done. They just say, like in the normal enterprise business accounting process, you have official private accounting bureaus, offices that you work with for your accounting thing, because it is legally, you are obliged to make this kind of process to validate your accounts at the end of the year, fiscal year. And then the authority, public authority, looks at just if there is a stamp of a legal private agency, accounting agency or not. This is the third pillar, just looking this. And we didn't change. Since the global crisis, we built up many public agencies that were not before. Like in European Union, for example, we have 3 or 4 new supervision agencies for retirement and for insurance sector, for banking sector, for retirement, and what was the name of the second part? So whatever. But they don't do this a different job. They do the same job than the previously that was done by in United Kingdom by Financial Supervision Authority, in Europe by no authority. In Europe, we had no authority for financial supervision before the crisis. I made a research paper in 2000, 2001, and I sent it to the European Central Bank to asking them, what do you think about? Because I see that you didn't imagine any financial supervision mechanism in order to make sure that in case of crisis, we can manage at the European level the situation. After 3 months, they answered to me. They said, yes, we don't have such an institution because we don't need, because everything is okay. The economy reached a full stability now. Everything is okay. Any crisis can be expected. Capitalism achieved its beautiful stage of development. 1 year later, Argentinian, Brazilian, Turkish crisis, we said emerging markets not very important, it's normal. We had in the late 90s North European banking system crisis in Sweden, Norway, and the Denmark.
Yes.
After the liberalization, we didn't talk about small countries, no problem. 2000, 2001, NASDAQ, high tech, out. We didn't talk about, no, that's just a temporary thing. Yeah. And then the emerging markets, before Asian crisis, 97, 98, Russian crisis, only crisis. We didn't know any current period, but no problem. We reached a very good maturity level of our financial systems. They answered to me like this. I didn't believe. A few years later, catastrophe. And we build up new agencies to supervise market that don't work to supervise market because we didn't change the regulatory framework. They are just there to be there and to be paid for. Huge wages for those guys working in these institutions. If you have the opportunity, go there. Very good positions. Yeah. Yeah, very, very nice. And you are working. So, yeah. So happiness exists, right? Happiness exists in the production of of sadness for masses. So yeah, of course. So we'll be talking again about regulation and alternative and relevant regulation. It must be public. It must be organized. Of course, now when we talk about public things, collective things, we have to talk about not only economic aspects, but also political aspects, because we are talking about shared decision process. So we know that how it is very difficult. When you are alone, even when you are alone, you have problems to decide of your own decisions. When you are more than yourself, it becomes really crazy. And 8 billion, wow. But we have to do something, because things cannot be done through the markets. Even if we remain in a market society, we have to organize market in this way. How? Really? There will be some proposals, but always in general terms. I stop here for today, tomorrow, to this afternoon. Yes, to share. Don't hesitate to attack the statements, because, you know, here I am talking, it's more a kind of talk than a kind of accurate presentation and a demonstration. So you may have questions, you may have ideas against or I don't know, different. So this is not the word of, even if we are the gods, now this is not the word of the God. $1 question. Incentives.
Always. It's always effective. Or almost always. So thank you very much for this first talk of yours. And I'm just curious a little bit about your political view, because you are making such a strong argument against capitalism, and caused me a little bit of surprise, your Schumpeterian framework. So that's I would like to ask you to comment a little bit more on your political view and why you think Schumpeter is the theoretical guide more appropriate with your political view.
Maybe I can give quickly an answer. Thank you very much for this question that I like much, because I am really very, how to say, sentimentally and theoretically close. I feel myself close to Schumpeter. So two things, I think, and that would make that there is no contradiction, because, you know, Schumpeter was a kind of how to say, thought of capitalism as a progressive society. Even Marx thought of capitalism as a progressive society compared with Middle Ages, and that's why Schumpeter is very, very close to Marx, because Schumpeter said capitalism is progressive because it is a innovative society, and the entrepreneur, innovator, etc., was this kind of argument in favor of a good face of capitalism. But once Schumpeter moved to the United States and saw all these big monopolies of that time that are already existing today, like the DuPont, like in the chemical industry, like J.P. Morgan in financial sector, like Rockefeller in industrial sector, to all these things, he said, wow, the capitalism that I had in mind was the old Europe capitalism. Those individuals making new world and making world progress in good way, in the sense of we are all children of Enlightenment period. still our civilization comes from this reforms, Renaissance, and Enlightenment, the Lumière in France, and so on. This progress of science, improving living conditions. You see, we have to think about also today. And Schumpeter had in mind this evolution of society, this new society, individual liberties, freedom, so on. And he saw from the 30s that it was not always the case, because in the evolution of capitalism, the direction is or was for monopolization. And logically, Schumpeter said or believed that monopoly is anti-innovation, because monopoly is a statu quo. It will not change the situation. This is a rentier situation. And that's why capitalism will be dying. It cannot survive. And the last war, Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy, talks about this and says capitalism will be removed, not because of what Marx said, but because there will be no innovation anymore. And this dynamics of capitalism is the living dynamics. When we don't have these dynamics, capitalism is dying. That's why Schumpeter said that capitalism is out. And he was waiting for the end of capitalism in the 60s. And Schumpeter in the 1840 and some things. So each people have their own period. And in what I am saying, my position, I think that capitalism is not, so it's maybe stupid what I'm saying, but it's not the good or ideal society, because I am living in and I want to improve things, life and so on, the future. I think that capitalism has reached its own limits now. It's okay, it's over. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe guys before me, 1 century, 2 centuries ago, they thought about the same things. I don't know, but I feel this. And I try to give arguments to show why capitalism cannot survive. And the only way to make capitalism, or cannot last eternity, the only way to make capitalism a little bit more surviving is public intervention, public organization. Here I become a bit Keynesian. You have to intervene or govern together in order to make freedom, private interest, let's say, alive. But it's not the final aim, because the final aim is the change, radical change. Historically speaking, no society can last eternally. It's just a tautology. And capitalism, I think, has reached its limits and will be maybe evaporated in a few decades or maybe century. I don't know. We cannot say exactly what. So we have to think about the alternatives. If we don't think about alternatives come without us, and we are submitted to these magic situations that might be very, very bad. And I think that if we walk in the same direction that we do today, after capitalism will be worse than the capitalism. This is my position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your exposition. It clarified a lot of things for our students and for us as professors. My question, I have two. First, you always divide between this is economy and this is government. But I see both like a duality, like something working together. Because even the government works in favor of the market ideology and making things possible, and at the same time, the economy works in favor for those in power. Do I explain myself? I mean, I don't think this reality.
It is called
vested interest, exactly. But I don't see this reality as divided. This is government, this is economy. We can work as collectively through the government for fixing things. because everything works together. So how can we know that that we can work in a good situation even if we are more pro-government or even more for planet economy? Like, good intention can be wrong. How can we know that we go in the good direction and we will fix the things and not making it worse as we have seen? Everything goes for work. It doesn't matter what position we are or from what things of work or working we imagine we can create everything of work. And I have your position. we don't know how next generation, it gets worse when we see just the nature, how it's destroyed, very accelerated, even in emerging markets, it's worse. So how can we construct this alternative with this consideration? How can we know that we go in the good direction? Maybe we are wrong too. I don't know, it's more existential question.
This question is beautiful, but I don't like it because it's without answer.
It's a question.
It's without answer. But
we are here for doing everything. We are the little God, so we can create everything.
Of course.
We assume that.
Yeah.
No?
But we can create everything, but not our, let's say, our future.
Exactly.
We and don't have the control of it future. Is very sad.
Exactly.
You see, and I think that the discussion must be about this. The big umbrella is this: being aware of what we are able to do, and what we don't want to do. Maybe if we repeat this, maybe people will be a bit more conscious that we are in a big, stupid evolution that we don't aware of. If we are aware of what we don't aware of, maybe we will be able to be aware of what we don't do while we have to do and we are able to do. Is it a first step or is it just a dream, a cheap dream? I don't know. History is full of these dreams that never came true. And we've been aware of those dreams. And individually, if you speak with all people, I think, everyone will agree that we have to do things in another way, but to improve, etc. Because everyone would like to be in better conditions for her or himself and for the entire society, because we are living in society. Just an example, when the society is polluted, you cannot live good in this society. So you need clean environment. But it's first, if you are not aware of, you will not contribute to the cleanness. Second, even if you are aware of and you are clean by yourself, you must know that it is not the solution, because all the society must be clean together, but individually. Because you're all saying if everyone cleans his or her home, world will be clean. No, it doesn't work like this. Because I clean my home, but all the waste I put outside, and society is horrible. Micro, macro don't go together. If we have no organization, collective organization. So maybe being aware of this, repeating this, and stating, guys, wake up. Our house is burning. Our life is burning. Everyone is aware of this, but not really, because we don't repeat this. If you talk about individually, everyone is aware of this. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But we can do nothing individually. And together, oh no, I will be not in a political moment. I am not, I don't know, against system or revolutionary. That will create conflict, war. You see, you have these two polar situations because we are used in the story to live this. Every time we wanted to change with good intentions, we made war to kill us without changing things. I am sure that all the guys, whatever their political sensibility, had at the beginning, first real beginning, very beginning, had very good intentions and feelings to change the world for the rest of the humanity. 2 seconds after, they became horrible. So how to not to repeat in this way? Frankly speaking, what could be the good way of imagining solutions? I have no idea. Just maybe keep believing that we can, but I don't know how. If we can before the end or not, but because otherwise there will be an end. Remark, it's not so important. The Martians don't aware of us. We can disappear. Universe will never feel our disappearation. We don't count. So what's all this stuff? Let's live and die. But we are humans. Unfortunately, that's why we are thinking about, if we were animals, our life would be really beautiful. Because we will not have this idea of beautifulness, happiness, etc. Just some fear, some envy, poof. 10 years later, dead. Now we want to live 100, 1,000 years and good conditions, change things, fight against the others, kill the others, and that makes us a bit bloody. We like blood. Look at one of our more important general activities is killing ourselves. Through the history, still today, we like it. We like drink blood. And at the same time, we are there to create life. I don't know. Maybe some philosophers are more able to think about this kind of paradox. We spend more money to kill ourselves than to change our life. We'll be talking about financing of transition. We'll be talking about money. We have no money. What? Money that we spend every day to kill ourselves is maybe 1,000 times more than what we need to transform society, environmentally speaking. And we are talking about scarcity. Crazy. And we are talking about budget deficit. No, I will be closing this institute. It's too much. No, we have no money. Public deficit is increasing. No, be serious, please. What are we doing every day? How to explain this? How to understand this? I have only one thing. Maybe I am wrong. We are so stupid. And we like to be stupid. Because we are aware of our stupidity. We are really intelligent. So we are aware of everything that we do. This is what makes me really sad. We are conscious of what we are doing about. It's horrible. I know why I kill you. I like it. And I put some reasons to make it morally acceptable, but I like it. Hope, you said, it's very cheap. The hope is the bread of the poor. If you have no bread to eat, you have the hope. I hate hope. But what to do? It's not related to ideology or something like that. It's many aspects, certainly, that each one has no ability to understand or to think about because it requires other knowledge, other skills. I don't know, maybe if we were with some psychologists, they will be giving us some other explanations. If we were with sociologists, we are here also, they will be giving some other arguments. If we are with historians, they will be giving other things. Even mathematicians, physicians, etc. We made the atomic bomb with mathematicians and chemical guys, physicians, and so on. Not with military. Military has supervised to have control. We made atomic bomb by ourselves, and we liked it. And you know, the movie is very recent now. We didn't know what could be the consequences of the explosion. I would say, oh, the probability is very small, but there's this probability. That means what? We accept this probability of destroying life entirely, the planet, the whole planet, not only human. If we had chain explosion, but we tried. We'll be talking about my idea, but it is not mine only. But the idea that I try to develop and defend is no. First, the prevention and precaution. Stop. Try other means. You want to stop the war. You want to kill the others. Develop other peoples. But you cannot take this risk of destroying planet. It's forbidden. You don't have this right. You have the right to kill people. You don't have the right of destroying the planet because there will be no future. When you kill people, they reproduce. You cannot destroy planet. You cannot destroy planet, not only the people, planet, whole planet. You have no right of it. This is not a moral thing, just an objective thing. Who are you? What are you? Because you have some weapons that you decide of. No, I don't like it. You are mediocrity. This is the principle, rule. And in climate things and in financial stability, this is the rule that I put forward. Precaution, prevention. If the maker, doer of a given activity cannot provide proofs that the harm will be limited and acceptable, the activity will not be authorized. It's okay. Innovation. Innovation doesn't mean anything. Innovation means change. Good or bad, I don't know. It's not my business. You cannot defend your project because it's called innovation. Because the financial innovations had been defended in this way. Oh, it's a progress. Innovation is progress. No, innovation is change. And you do this change for yourself, for your interest. So it is not my business. Excuse me. Stop. You cannot. Prohibition. It has nothing to do with social progress. This is private business. Private business is private business. It is not done for humanity. If you cannot prove that you will not be harmful, you do. If you cannot prove, you cannot. If you prove objectively, I accept. I take this. This is the rule. Very simple for everything. I would like to produce new cars. Okay. What could be the consequences? You know? No. So go work again. I don't need your cars. We are using electric cars.
catastrophe. In 10 years, that's catastrophe. And we do this by the public hand. The regulation. It is not the market. This is the public power that decides of anything, even about liberal activities. The financial liberalization is a public power decision. Of course, they are working together. They are working with the business, of course, vested interest. But this is public decision. This is not market forcing. Guys coming there and having this idea, liberal markets are better. Poof, we change the law because we have the majority in the Senate or public assembly and so on. Life is different. I decided of, because this is my ideological preference. Did you think about consequences of my life, on my children, on their future school, health, access to different things, to better conditions of life? No. But it is why I am paying for you. This is your job, to think about my future, not about yourself. You don't do your job. And you govern me. No, I don't agree. This is not correct. It's not ideology. It is not correct. Another question?
Thank you. I have very much appreciated the conference. And two reflections or two questions, I guess. The first is I very much appreciate also how you underline the role of the public sphere, the state, in financialized capitals. When it seems like conceptually there's a tendency to make invisible or to disappear or to, it falls off the wayside, any kind of state regulation, public regulation. And you mentioned there are changes in the regulatory model rather than it just disappearing entirely, which I think is important to recognize. That's the first thing. And the second thing is kind of along the lines of kind of like politically, I'm just listening and wondering, should we come to the conclusion then that, I don't know, Margaret Thatcher was correct, that there is no alternative, that Francis Fukuyama was correct, that we are at the end of history, that there is, are we, coming to that conclusion? I'm just curious your thoughts on that. And kind of, I'm hearing lots of provocations and I'm like thinking, and maybe, is Fukuyama right? Is there no human history from here onward? Is Margaret Thatcher, there is no alternative? I'm just curious your thoughts. It's kind of a provocation.
No, it's a good provocation. No, it's very relevant. Thank you very much for your questions, remarks. So for the second, those were the positions, Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan, and so on, positions following an ideology, the Iron Lady ideology, and so on. First, it shows that this is the public power that decides of the changes, not the market dynamics. There is no market dynamic in this way. Markets are there making money. Dynamics are given. And in which direction, in which way they will be making money will be decided of by the public power, according to the, unfortunately, ideological choices. And my point is that we must try to find ways of entrusting the public choices of this kind to some other less ideological mechanism. And from this perspective, the prevention precaution rule is related to this idea. You can decide of anything, but the rule must be you have to assess the possible consequences of your decisions that will change radically society, economy and society for, let's say, next 2 decades. If you are not able to expect these things, you have no right to change. And the change is not good in itself. The change is just change. And I don't accept to take risks on my future because you like to change things because you are well
you are at your comfort, etc. You are belonging to a kind of milieu. It is very, very comfortable and so on. You don't take any risk. No, it is not a free choice. Here I will be speaking like a liberal. There is no free lunch in political decisions. So in our societies, political decisions are free lunch. There is no return, no responsibility. They take any decisions they want, they change society, and we suffer during decades and decades of those things, without nothing, for nothing. What is the progress of our society since last 50 years? Apart from wars and starvation and famines and all the things, wars and so on. What is the progress? Even economic progress, you cannot see it. What is the progress? Tell me. Poverty reduced? No. Poverty is like this. According to the changes that we implement in our criteria of calculus, not according to objective data. When you change the poverty level from $3 to $2 to $1, or you make poverty level for this country at $10, for the other $1, yes, poverty is reduced because you reduce the limit. But the number of people dying from this is not reduced. While we have, the only progress that we have, technology. We make huge progress in technology since many centuries. What is the consequence on our living conditions? I don't see anything.
More environmental destruction?
Maybe more virtuality, or I can sleep, eat, make love, and so on my phone without really doing those things. And at the end, without eating really and making love really and so on, I will be dying as a poor. So my point is, I tried not to take ideological positions, but to put forward the, how to say, not the rationality, but the logical objectivity of things. And if I say that we have to regulate society or financial markets, it doesn't mean that we have to remove all private business. If we do, we can do. But if we do so, we change society, we change system. Look, I am not talking about this. I am talking about this one. If it can work better or not. And I have no answer. I say only that if we wanna, we would like to make society a bit, let's say, how to say, better, or have a kind of hope about the betterness of future, we have to intervene in this way, to regulate things in this way, public, private, whatever the name we put on. And we have to put rules in this, at that level. I talk about prevention, precaution. We have to put rules, and I borrow this from the ecological economics. The first thing that the environmental economics told about many decades ago was this: the prevention, precaution, because life is how to say, is evaporating, is disappearing. We have to catch it. So we have to prevent. We have to be precautionary. And I take this for financial things because I think the rule is very simple. Very simple as a concept, but that might have very huge consequences for our everyday decision process. Because now you have no freedom to decide off because you are in a free society, liberal economy. No, you have to provide proof that your harm will be limited and it will be acceptable. If you are not able, you are not authorized. So we have something to do as alternative, at least this way. If Thatcher or her advisors thought about the possible consequences, maybe they will not do things in the same way. I don't know, Reagan, the same thing, and the rest. Since the late 70s, we are in this world. We take decisions, new president coming there and deciding, oh, I change things to improve your life. No, you didn't have time to think about the consequences. You want to just change things, to let people know that you are a changer. We don't want changers. We want makers of future. And makers of future must work, must reflect, must think about twice before taking any measure, any decision. And this must go through. Now we can talk about, maybe it's a cheap dream, but it must at the same time here, I cannot talk about, but just a few, one word, it must take a more democratic process where people are involved in, but it is not limited to voting every 5, 4 or 6 years to vote for the same guys who killed us in the previous period. It's horrible. We became a kind of troops. We are not human societies. We vote like this, robots. Because there is no this kind of debate about the change. We are talking about climate change. We are not able to change anything. Climate change is just a buzzword. We don't want, and we cannot, because we don't want. Otherwise, we have all the means, all the tools, technology, knowledge, everything, science, money. We don't need money. We can create it as we want. Yeah.
I think that as economists, we spend a lot of time thinking about planning for other people, planning about how to make the world a better place and how to making decisions for other people. And maybe that's part of the problem. And maybe some of us could start looking at anarchist ways of organizing and opposing the system. There are lots of projects. I'm from the States. There are, forest defenders in Oregon, for example, trying to stop deforestation. There are people in southern Oaxaca where there's a lot of wind energy farming going on. There's lots of land grabbing happening. There are local people that are organizing to stop this outside of, I think they use people are utilizing the state when it is helpful, when it is necessary. But I think we need to acknowledge that that is not the only means of organization, especially if we're talking about collective action. There is collective action that exists outside of the state. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful, because it is related to what we'll be talking later about, that is usually called the polycentricity. So that means that we may imagine the organization in society of different things, decision process or implementation through local community-related groups or organizations, institutions, without waiting for Godot or for state intervention and so on. Yes, when the things might be done at the local level, it is the perfect solution because it is autonomous. It is more related to the reality of the ground. You see, because you know better what are you living, in what conditions you are living in your location, for example, and so on. What Elinor Ostrom developed with different other people, this polycentricity through the studies on Nepal agricultural practices and so on, without any infrastructure, without any state, and so on. Yes, of course, this is spontaneous. That might be called anarchical or I don't know, self-organization and so on. That was also one of the dreams of alternative societies in the 60s and 50s, and the Yugoslavia of that time was the symbol of this self-organization of society and economy, even if it was not really the same way. But yes, but at the same time, I think that as we are living in society today might mean, from some perspectives, the whole world. In other cases, that might be just a country, a region, and so on, or like some countries, unions, and so on. We have to have communication, and also the, how to, can I call it, the communication, but this network relationship, because when I am breathing pure air here, normally that have effects on your access to air or on your access to life, speaking in general terms. So that's why I cannot isolate myself from the rest of society, even if my issue to be solved here is very local. So there must be a kind of social umbrella, and this umbrella, not for just controlling, supervising, but making things coherent with each other, in relation with each other. Here, maybe I will, I don't know anything on this, but I refer to some, this kind of tributes, the groups of people that talk about in terms of harmony with nature, with different natural forces, and so on. You see this kind of thing. So we are living together, so we are depending on each other. And when we are killing each other, we are killing ourselves. We are not aware of it. So in the proposal solutions, we have to imagine things and implement things also in relation with the others. Otherwise, we cannot have this community of life on Earth if we ignore each other. Even if we are at our micro or meso level, we are doing good things. If the good things are not in relation with the others, they might become very bad things for the others also. So I am not saying that we need a big brother or big sister deciding of everything. No, it's impossible. There is no such thing. Okay, this is Stalin planification. So it is not the dream. But the market is the full freedom of individuals, decentralized way of doing. It is not the good way at all. So we have to find a solution, being aware of these historical solutions that we implement since many centuries and that don't work. We don't have to reuse them. We reuse them everywhere. Dictatorship is one of those cases. Example, we have always everywhere recurrent dictatorships, or always everywhere recurrent market freedom. Nothing else. Enough is enough. So that's why your idea, of course, but thinking about in relation between or with the rest of society, I think. Otherwise, it will not work. It will be war. Local communities war. And you have the famous example of Vincent Ostrom, the husband of Eleanor, in the 60s, because he was the first to launch this project research program at that time. They took as example the police, local police, not departments, but local police things in, I don't remember, in Philadelphia or somewhere in the United States. And they saw that they were very close to each other, those small police things in the same neighbors, but they were working in a very autonomous way, and they producing really solutions to local issues of security, of I don't know what. And even if they were working on the same places, locations, because they were very close, and it's very difficult to separate streets like this, they were working in harmony because they found a kind of mechanism to be in touch in a continuous way and to intervene not in terms of competition against each other, but in terms of collaboration. If I intervene here and I let you know that I intervene here and for the same reason, for the same aim. I am not your competitor. And I will not prevent you from existing, from doing your job. And there was a kind of, let's say, professional harmony between those guys because they were aware of the necessity of being in communication, global communication, at the same time, necessity of intervening immediately without passing through a vertical hierarchy, waiting for the orders and so on. And at the same time, the business is going on. You see, and this was the starting point of polycentric approaches. But I studied a bit these things for the financial issues, and my point is, if a problem, an issue, is more community related or limited location related problem, the solution might come by community related organizations. If the problem is society level or requires society level communication, organization, network framework, and so on, we must have a global organization that will let, of course, the community related institutions work autonomously also, but in harmony or coherence with. So to do so, we have first to have common goals. What is society? Just a kind of addition of individuals? This is the market approach. The result is bad cows, not good cows, but bad cows, killing each other, let's say, generating crisis and so on. And everyone will suffer from. Society is not given by God, by the big brother or sister, who will have the good ideas for everyone and thinking about our happiness. It doesn't work. It cannot work. For in the economics, we have a few things that we can use, even if it is not enough to understand the problem. But for example, when we talk about informational asymmetries and so on, we know that you can never have enough information to decide of things in a very, let's say, good way, best way. Even when you are a dictator, you have no disinformation because you are not individuals. You are an individual, first. Second, you will never have time, power, skills to decide of everything, every problem, every alternative possible. You don't live in, you don't know what's it. You are not everywhere, you cannot be everywhere. So you cannot decide of things like this, etc., etc. So the thing is very easy, I think. We don't have to discuss about it. It's very obvious. We know this since many centuries. All the liberal English philosophy of the 17th, 18th century developed the liberal approaches about natural liberty and so on, and gave us the results, very limited things. We cannot generalize to whole society. Also, all the work about centralization plan and so on gave us the results. We cannot organize society by one hand, the dictatorship. We know all these things. And now we know also since at least 4 or 5 decades, thanks to the polycentric work, that there might be some solutions, real-time, real-life solutions between the state and the market, to just use these words. We know all these things, but why we don't work on to implement solutions? Because the interest will be not served. Interests that dominate will not be served. Here, there's a big political problem, because the status quo, you cannot change it without violating the interest of people who dominate the situation. And I don't know what, democratically speaking, we can change things. And I don't know what, no democratically speaking, we can change things. The door is open, but we know that it's open since the beginning. This is my sadness. It is not the new thing. I am not producing new ideas. Just I am repeating my sadness. Thank you very much for your great attention and contribution and resistance and smile. Stay positive.
sala de cómputo 2 que está subiendo las escaleras, luego a la izquierda. ¿Sí?
Thank you and have a nice day. Have a nice future.
¿Cierto, no? No. ¿Los entregamos o los dejamos ahí? Los dejamos, ¿no?
Creo que sí, los dejamos.
Basta pagarle.
Closes.